Good morning, everybody. See, in the pressure measurement, starting of this pressure measurement, the very first instrument used for pressure measuring is a burden tube pressure gauge. Here, there will be a tube which is made of soft material, usually copper or bronze or sometimes PVC material, rubber or rubber tube. See, this is the stem. You can fix this on the air tank of the air compressor. You have seen the air compressor. So on the top, you have seen the pressure gauge, which shows the pressure in kg per millimeter square. So this pressure gauge is available from the range 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, 0 to 25, 0 to 50, and 0 to 100 kg per millimeter square pressure. So once if you fix this on the air tank, when the pressure increases in the stem, so before that, what are the things present here? This is the stem which is connected to the rack and pinion arrangement. This is the sector, and this is the adjustable link, and this is the movable plate. As the pressure increases in the stem, which is connected to the flexible tube that's in circular shape, which is placed inside the casing of the pressure tube. When the pressure increases in the stem, in turn, the pressure increased in the flexible tube, initially which has the oval cross section, changes to circular cross section. Due to that, there will be a pull in the outward direction. There will be a pull in the outward direction. That is nothing but the change in the cross section of a tube from oval to circular. Due to this, the pointer moves in the clockwise direction, indicates the air pressure in the tank, air tank. This is the principle of operation of burden tube pressure gauge. Burden tube pressure gauge. All of you, please write down the question. Write down the question. Explain briefly with neat sketch. Explain briefly with neat sketch. Burden tube pressure gauge. Burden tube pressure gauge. Put a question mark and continue the question. List the advantages. List the advantages and limitations. list the advantages and limitations. This is the explanation for burden tube pressure gauge. Next, come to the point. All of you have flask in your house. What is the function of flask? Keep the heat for period of time, that is 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, without heat transfer from the liquid to the surrounding. That is the function of the flask. See, in the flask, there will be two layers. In between the two layers, they create vacuum. That you can call it as negative pressure. That you can call it as negative pressure. See, if you want to measure the negative pressure, only instrument is available is vacuum gauge, McLeod vacuum gauge. So using this gauge, you can measure the negative pressure. See what all the things present here one by one. Just all of you observe here. This is the pipe. You have to connect the source. And here you have the measuring capillary and the reference capillary. And both are connected here. And there will be a pipe tube which is connected to the mercury reservoir. Mercury reservoir. So by mercury reservoir contains cylinder and piston. Before conducting the experiment, you have to adjust the instrument to read null balance. That is, the mercury level in the measuring capillary should read zero. Should read zero. That is called null balance. That is called null balance. So after adjusting the mercury level in the measuring capillary to read zero, then you connect this point or this end to the source. This end to the source. Then measure the pressure of the source, which forces the mercury to move in the downward direction. Due to capillary action, the level of the mercury in the reference capillary as well as measuring capillary both are same. You can measure the negative pressure of the source. The scale is printed on the measuring capillary from 0 to 5. All of you observe here, that is in blue color. H indicates the mercury level in the measuring capillary. So in this step 1, 2, 3, that is the negative pressure. That is the negative pressure. All of you remember this particular gauge works on Boyle's gas law. Boyle's gas law, that is P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. You need the volume change. For that reason, P1 equal to P2 V2. P2 V2 divided by V1. That gives you the pressure P1. That's the source pressure. That is Boyle's law of fundamental relation. So this is the relationship used in the McLeod gauge for measurement of pressure, for measurement of negative pressure or low pressure. This is the instrument called McLeod vacuum gauge. So almost all the question paper, you have a question on McLeod gauge. All of you, please write down the question. Explain briefly with the neat sketch. Explain briefly with neat sketch. McLeod vacuum gauge. McLeod vacuum gauge. Put a question mark. Write down the question. Explain briefly with neat sketch the McLeod vacuum gauge. Put a question mark. List the advantages and list the advantages and limitations. List the advantages and limitations. All of you remember, this particular gauge is used for measurement of low pressure or vacuum. This is the explanation for principle of working of McLeod gauge. Next, come to the point. See, you might have seen the transportation of gases, for example, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, which is transported from one place to the other place through tanker, through the tank, through the tank. In that tank, you cannot fill the tank with high pressure. Always the tank is filled with low pressure. See, if you fill with the high pressure, what will happen? If anything happens to the tank, which may cause huge damage to the surrounding as well as to the operator driver of the tanker. For that reason, for transporting oxygen, hydrogen, carbon monoxide, they use the tankers. So that tanker, if you want to measure the pressure in the tanker, you have to use the low pressure measuring instrument. That's the one pressure gauge which is available is a Pirani gauge. Pirani gauge. See, what all the things present in the Pirani gauge and the principle of operation of Pirani gauge. See, in the Pirani gauge, you have two cells. One is measuring cell, other one is compensating cell. Both the cells has resistances. Both the cell has resistances. In the measuring cell, you have two resistances. You connect this end to the source, that is the tank. And due to the resistance, you need the compensation of error in the resistances. For that, one more cell is placed parallel to the measuring cell. From this, you can compensate the temperature problem as well as the error coming from the heating of the resistances, so that you can avoid by using compensating cell near to the measuring cell. And then both the resistances are connected to the measuring instrument, that is the recorder. In turn it is called as receiver, and one more resistance is connected in parallel to the power supply. Usually this gauge works on the principle of compensation method. That is, the if the pressure increases, resistance increases. If the pressure decreases, resistance decreases. Like that, the resistance is very important. The resistance in ohm is directly measured in terms of pressure in kg per millimeter square or in microns. Kg per millimeter square or in microns. This is the only gauge which is used in vehicles which works on 12 volts battery. 12 volts battery. This is the principle of operation of Pirani gauge. Principle of operation of Pirani gauge used for measurement of low pressure. Next, come to the point. Say, in some cases, the pressure is very high, which ranges from 0 to 100 kg per millimeter square, or 0 to 500 kg per millimeter square, or 0 to 1000 kg per millimeter square. Imagine the pressure, how much high pressure is developed by using multi-stage air compressor. Multi-stage air compressor. Can you can you tell me the application of high pressure? Pneumatic cylinder. See, all of you seen in some of the earth moving equipments, JCB, and some of the military equipments are worked on high pressure compressed air. High pressure compressed air. So, if you want to measure the high pressure air, the only gauge is available is the Bridgman gauge. Bridgman gauge. All of you observe here. This is the stainless steel or low carbon steel shell. Remember, this shell is made of low carbon or stainless steel shell, which has the provision to connect this to a source, this point to the source, this end to the source. Then, which is directly connected to the sensor, which is placed inside the kerosene reservoir or bellow, which contains the kerosene. In that, they keep the sensor, and the sensor is directly connected to the terminal. The terminal is connected to the pressure indicator. The pressure indicator may be analytical one or digital one. As the pressure increases in this point, what will happen? Which exerts the force on the sensor. Due to that sensor, the pressure increased pressure on the sensor, there will be change in the electrical characteristics of the sensor, that is in terms of analog signal that is converted into voltage signal, and the voltage signal is converted into the pressure units, that may be in kg per millimeter square or kg per millimeter square or centimeter square or in bars. So this is the solid gauge used for measurement of high pressure, which ranges from 0 to 1000 kg per millimeter square. So almost all the components are made from heavy metal. Only the center you have the flexible bellow. Inside the kerosene, the bellow is filled with kerosene. In the center, you have the sensing element which senses the pressure from the source. Once the pressure is measured through the terminal, which terminal is connected to the pressure indicator, which indicates the pressure in kg per millimeter square or in centimeter square. All of you, please write down the question. Please write down the question. Explain briefly. Before that, you write down a question. How do you measure the high pressure? How do you measure the high pressure? Put a question mark. So this type of question also you have in the examination. See, another type of question, which is a direct question. In the next line, write down. Explain briefly with neat sketch Bridgman gauge. Bridgman gauge. Bridgman. Bridgman gauge. Next line write down. Next line write down. Explain briefly with the neat sketch. Explain briefly with the neat sketch explain briefly with neat sketch the Bridgman gauge in bracket right now. Measurement of high pressure. Measurement of high pressure. Put a question mark. Measurement of high pressure. Put a question mark. Least advantages. List the advantages and disadvantages. List the advantages and disadvantages. All of you, please write your name and USN in the thought box. Now I stop at this stage. Now all of you, please write your name and USN in the thought box. Answer roll call. All of you unmute yourself. Renil H. Gowda. Answer roll call. Shashank HS. Shashank HS. Nitin JS.
Present, sir.
Pratik JL.
Yes, sir.
Pratik Jayan.
Yes, sir.
Pawan Kumar GV.
Yes, sir.
Yashwant
Yes, sir.
KR. Swati DN. Mohammad Zafullah.
Sir. Present, sir.
Mohammad Harris.
Present, sir.
Ujjwal.
Present, sir.
Akash KS.
Yes, sir.
Yogesh.
Yes, sir.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಸೈಡ್ ಹಾಕಂತಪ್ಪ ಬೋಟ್ ಒಂದು
Yes, sir.
Sir, Pritam Day present, sir.
Okay.
ಸರ್ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ರಜತ್ ಜೇಸಿ.
Sir, Vinayak and present.
ಸರ್ ರಜತ್ ಜೇಸಿ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಕೂಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Hello.
Sir, Vinayak
ರಜತ್
and
ಜೇಸಿ.
present.
ರಜತ್ ಜೇಸಿ present.
Rajat GC.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, Vinayak and.
Anybody else? Please tell me your name.
Sir, Vinayak and present.
Akash, unmute yourself.
Present, sir.
Akash, please.
Yes, sir. Akash, present, sir.
Okay. Write down. Sir Venkatesh.
Yes, sir.
100.
Sir Gavish present.
Actually, students, please write down my email ID. Actual entry students. Ismail. Penny Lakan. Akash, are you able to listen? Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Write down my email ID.
Okay, sir.
Please tell your friends to send your email ID to this. Are you able to see the email ID on the screen? srvenkash_12@yahoo.co.in. Manu,
Present, sir.
Manu, are you able to see the email ID on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Mohammed Harris,
Yes, sir.
please ask and yourself and your friends to send the email ID to this email ID srvenkash_12@yahoo.co.in.
ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡಿ
Okay,
ಸರ್
sir.
ಇಮೇಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೆ
Got
ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡಿ
it, Akash?
Yes, sir.
ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಇಮೇಲ್ ನ
Ah, all lateral entry students, please send your email ID to this email ID
Okay, sir.
srvenkash_12@yahoo.co.in.
Okay, sir.
Got it, Akash? Kumar,
Okay, sir.
Akash ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಹಾ, ಅದನ್ನ
Yes, sir.
ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಿಮ್
Yes, sir.
ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್
Yes, sir.
ಕೊಟ್ಟಿ ಕಳ್ಸಕ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ?
Okay, sir. ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ಆಕರ್ಷ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯಮ್ಮ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ಹಾ ಹಾ, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಮರಿದಿದ್ದಂಗೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I stop at this stage. I will continue in the next class.